of a curator might be, but also especially what the work of an artist might be in this context. For this biennial, basically, we invited 30 artists, and half of them we invited not to work with artistic venue or art exhibition. We actually invite them to work with television, radio, newspapers and magazine, and an internet platform. And this obviously is challenging us as a curators, for sure, because we make our life more complicated. And the artists, because they kind of this approach push the artists outside the comfort area, which might be an art gallery. But I do think that's the way you do research, if you want to do research, because in the end, if you are an artist who has a particular ambition, he wants to do work which is relevant in the society or effective in society, then it's you know, whatever is your interest, it might be also good to understand what kind of how you reach out audiences which are actually beyond the art environment, how you can connect the audiences which are more relevant for your topic, for what you want to talk about it. And again, this is we did with the media element, because in this context, because there was about the dialogue in Northern Africa, it was about particular social situation and political situation, how the immigration was digested somehow, especially through the media elements. So we wanted actually to focus on the mass media information industry, and that's why we work with them. We didn't work against them, we didn't work for them, we did with them. And there was, you know, a bit of a problem sometimes, but then it was really effective. But then, if your focus, what you really want to do, is more, I don't know, focus on the legal or on the scientific or onto the medical or whatever, then I would invite you as an artist to really try to create your opportunities also in other systems of society. You have the art system, which is an incredible globalized, because it's worldwide platform to show your work, to connect with peers, to connect with, you know, curators, directors, gallerists, other artists, whatever. But then it might also become a too safe area to some extent. If you really want to do a work which is effective in society, you also try to understand what are the possibilities you have to create maybe another version of your work to present, to create I don't know, a residence opportunity in a newspaper or a residence opportunity in a hospital or whatever. That's also kind of a environment that informs your work a lot. That's doing research, and it's not doing research in a library, it's doing research in the field. And this kind of a research, it informs your work, it makes your work very rich. And if you give back this work to those kind of audiences to which you work, then it becomes effective for other people as well. And I'm really kind of keen to transfer this idea. Sometimes it's not, you know, depending on the artist, sometimes it's the curator themselves, they don't want to make trouble for themselves, and they just invite an artist to realize maybe a political work about, I don't know, a conflict, and to present in a gallery. That's fine, because the work then circulated, maybe is also published in a catalog. So you have the idea that your work can make a difference. But you know, if you stay within the art system, also that difference is still reaching a niche audience. So I just invite you, just, you know, think sort of bilateral. Sometimes the better thing actually as a creative person is to find your source and find your platform outside the art, and then you still have the art system as a backup, because you can rely on peers, you can rely on your tutors, you can rely on curators and whatever other artists actually to push and to go ahead. And I'm telling you this one because when I started as an artist, I kind of still consider myself as an artist without working full-time as a curator, because to some extent actually, if I really, you know, if I can help an artist to realize a work, I'm really happy, because I'm going with her or with him. So to some extent I consider my curatorship a form of art as well. And I know some artists have a problem with that, because it's you shouldn't dictate, you know, an art context, an artwork according to your vision as a curator. But I never really make a list of artists or list of artwork when I organize exhibition. For this biennial here, actually, we didn't have any preconceived list of artists. We didn't have any list of artwork. We actually started to do the research in the two cities of Murcia and Cartagena, meeting artists, but also NGOs and officials and non-official social workers and a number of associations, for instance. And then from there we expand our research to the whole region, and then to Spain, and then to Europe, Northern Africa, and Asia, and so on. And when we actually found these people who actually clicked because they had something to say that it was important to say in that content, then that kind of a crystallization, that moment became an invitation, it became a work. So out of 30 invitations, we produced 28 new works, which is quite an amazing thing. It's a very, very, very big effort. So if I can, of course, if I have the resources, if I have the right context, I try always to go with the artist on a journey and never really cherry pick the artist and put together an exhibition, if I can. But if you work for a public institution, well, sometimes you do, because there are other financial structure, other constraints. You also measure in a public institution. I'm not quite sure here in Holland actually, but in England, for instance, you have criteria how successful is the art institution that you run or you work with. And one of the criteria is the number of people going through the door. And the second criteria, main criteria, is actually the media coverage you have. So how often you are in the media, and I'm talking about internet, and talking about television, radio, newspaper, magazine, etc., etc. So there are, it seems odd, because you shouldn't judge a cultural artifact, a cultural product, a cultural research by the popularity of the research. That's not the point, but somehow there are certain criteria that they evaluate your work. So as a curator also you have to take on board this thing. Sometimes you push for more experimental approach, sometimes you go for the safer choice, and it's somehow you do with well-established artists, sometimes you do with emergent artists. It's really a mixed, and there's no really rule, I would say.